It's my favorite segment of the week, the Commanders Report mailbag, where I'm answering your questions on the Washington Commanders as this team prepares to take on the New York Football Giants on Sunday in Week 1 of the NFL season. Welcome into the show, guys. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button to join the most interactive community for Commanders fans anywhere on YouTube. We will be going live for the Commanders game versus the Giants here on Sunday. We'll have a post-game reaction show. Of course, we'll have an hour of pregame coverage for that as well. It's going to be a great time, man, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button. We also give you guys free daily and informative Commanders content on this channel every single day. So if you guys want daily updates on the Washington Commanders as they look to hoist yet another Lombardi Trophy in franchise history, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Got one from Smallfish16. Says, who's the RB1? It's anyone's guess, Small Fish. Now, if you listen to the depth chart, it's Austin Ekeler. And I do think Ekeler probably starts the season getting the most touches, all right, and probably the most snaps. But you take a look at the running back order, at least according to the depth chart that the team put out this week. Austin Ekeler is RB1. Jerry McNichols is RB2. Chris Rodriguez Jr. is RB3 with Bill Croskey-Merritt all the way down at RB4. But at practices this week, Austin Ekeler was taking number one running back reps, but then Bill Croskey-Merritt was second in the lineup. All right, so I expect to still see Bill sometime this weekend versus the Giants. I think he will have some sort of role with this team as a part of a committee. I think we'll see Ekeler, Merritt, and a little bit of McNichols and Rodriguez out there given the situations and given the fatigue level of all these guys. I think part of the reason why they have all four of these guys on the roster is because they want to keep each other fresh throughout the season so that once you get to the end of season there where you're playing the Eagles twice, where you're playing divisional opponents in all four of your final games, those are going to be a very, very important stretch for this team. You want to have your guys fresh. Whoever the best two running backs on this team are at that point, you want those guys to be fresh. So that's why I think they're kind of going with this committee approach here in Washington after getting rid of Brian Robinson Jr. But I do think we will see Bill Croskey-Merritt more than people think after the depth chart was released yesterday or a couple days ago. Then we got to Wally Goozer. What a name right there, man. Says, technically, Jayden Daniels hasn't won a full 60-minute game against the Cowboys. Do you think Dallas still gives Washington trouble this season, even with Parsons gone? No, I don't. That defense is going to be absolutely terrible. I know they got Kenny Clark. He's probably their best defensive player. I know people like to say Deron Bland, but he's been very up and down throughout his NFL career. Trayvon Diggs is one of the easiest corners in the league to bait on double moves. I think he's extremely overrated. I like DeMarvion Overshown, but he's injured, and he's not going to be back until like midway through the season. That defense is terrible. I think that Jayden Daniels is not going to have any issue moving the football against him. And in terms of going up against Dallas, Marshon Lattimore, you got a really good slot corner that can go up against CeeDee Lamb in the slot. I think the Commanders are built to play the Dallas Cowboys. So, maybe I'm going to eat my words here in a couple of weeks when we play the Dallas Cowboys in Week 7, but I really feel confident that the Commanders have what it takes to sweep the Dallas Cowboys this year. And in fact, not only them, but sweep the New York Football Giants as well. So you make the call for me down there in the comments section. How many wins will the Commanders have against divisional opponents this year? Of course, you play the Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys twice. For me, I'm going to go 5-1 for the Washington Commanders in the division, which I think is going to help propel them to an NFC East division championship. Now, before we get into the rest of today's questions here, guys, I want to give you a quick word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And both me and you, we both make decisions every single day, what to wear, what to have for breakfast, all that different stuff. But on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. This week it's Week 1, and you better believe I'll be getting my Prize Picks lineups in for the season opener on Thursday all the way through Monday Night Football. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks also puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Prize Picks also offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. And a new feature on Prize Picks that I absolutely love this season is injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half with an injury and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. Now, this video is going to be coming out on Saturday, but here is my Prize Picks projection for Thursday's season opener versus the Philadelphia Eagles. and the Dallas Cowboys. I took the more on Dak Prescott passing yards. That's pretty much a free play. Then I'm taking the more on George Pickens receiving yards, taking the less on passing yards for Jalen Hurts, and the more on rushing yards for Saquon Barkley. You can download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on the Prize Picks app today. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, so now let's get into some more questions here. Starting with Pierce Clark says, do we feel good about the secondary because of Lattimore getting older? So listen, man, this is a big question mark for this team heading into the year. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Marshon's getting older. He's had a lot of injuries, and I think another big question mark is not only, can he still maintain a high level of play at his age, but can he stay healthy? Because he hasn't been able to over the last several seasons. So that's the big risk with spending as much as you did to go get Marshon Lattimore at the trade deadline last year, is that he's an injury-prone player. So hopefully he's going to be able to stay healthy. Hopefully he's going to be able to maintain a high level of play, because he's going to be tasked with going up against number one corners all season long. So, if this team wants to go the places that they want to go, if they want to shut down A.J. Brown, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens on the outside, these really tough receivers to go up against in this division at the number one outside receiver spot, I think that Lattimore's going to have to step up. So definitely a guy to keep your eye on here in the early weeks. Then we got a $20 super chat from Eli Hokies fan. Says, how good is Jaylin Lane after the preseason games? I think he still has a little bit of time that he needs to, cook in the oven a little bit as a receiving player. I think if somebody gets injured or in certain packages, you can throw him in there as a deep threat. But I think in year one, his main role is going to be as a punt return specialist. He might be one of the best punt returners in the league here in 2025, guys. Like, this guy is dynamic with the ball in his hands in space. He's got great vision. He's got a really great track record as a punt returner. That's why the team took him, and hopefully he can develop into something more the more that he plays here in Washington. But heading into this season, it sounds like the main role for him is going to be as a punt returner, and I think he's going to be damn good at it. Then we got one from JG. Says, who will be our three toughest regular season opponents this season? So you got to include Kansas City on the road. All right, Kansas City on the road is going to be a really tough one. I will include the Los Angeles Chargers on the road as well. That's going to be a really tough football game. And then, why not? Let's go with the Green Bay Packers on a short week on the road with Micah Parsons, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love. That's a tough football team, too, on the road on a short week to go up against after you play what I'm expecting to be a very physical Week 1 matchup versus the New York Giants in Week 1. So I would say those are probably the three toughest regular season opponents this season. We'll see on the Eagles, but I think it's actually a good thing the Commanders are playing the Eagles later in the season, because I kind of feel like Saquon Barkley's going to get banged up. I'm not rooting for it. I'm not rooting for an injury, but you look at the history of rushing leaders in the National Football League, the next year, their bodies just don't hold up. All right. So, and Saquon Barkley has certainly been a guy with an injury history in his own right. So I think there's a decent chance Saquon Barkley doesn't play in either of those football games at the end of the season for the Eagles, which is obviously good news for the Commanders. But if Barkley's out there, the Eagles have to be on the list as well. Then we got one from Justin Klotz. Says, do you think the Commanders will trade for another player? We'll see. We'll see how injuries play out. We'll see how, the different positions play out in the early part of the season. It's certainly possible that Adam Peters makes a move at the trade deadline like he did for Marshon Lattimore last year. Peters is certainly not afraid to make a move like that if he feels the need to. But we'll have to see where this team is at the trade deadline, what their needs are, what players are out there, what do they cost. There's a lot of variables there, Justin. But I do think that the Commanders will be buyers once we get to the trade deadline. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a real one, you watch every single one of our videos, you watch our watch parties, you do everything. You click the thumbs up icon, you've clicked that subscribe button. If you're a real one, let us know. Click that thumbs up icon. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. All right, then we got one from Eon here. It says, how many rush and pass yards does Little Bill get this year? We'll see what his role looks like, man. It's just so hard to nail down what kind of season he's going to have for sure, because it sounds like he's going to be a part of the starting rotation Week 1, because he's in practice anyway. He's getting the number 2 running back reps behind Austin Eckler. So it sounds to me like he's going to be the team's number 2 guy in terms of total snaps to start the season, but he has been the best running back in Commanders training camp. So I kind of have a hard time believing that he's going to be held back from that number one role at, very long. I think that by mid-season, he is this team's number one running back. He's got a chance to really make some noise as this team's number one running back once he takes over that role. And he can, catch the football as well out of the backfield. It's going to be interesting to see what Bill Croskey-Merritt is going to be able to do this year. But in terms of projecting how many yards, touchdowns, etc., it really just depends on how early Jacory Croskey-Merritt is able to take advantage of his opportunities and ascend to that number one role. Got another one here from Pierce. Says, stat line prediction for JD5. I don't really love doing stat line predictions, guys, personally, but I'll say this, all right? He's my pick to win league MVP this year. All right, so whatever that takes, 50 total touchdowns, 45 total touchdowns, 5,000 yards, total whatever, he's going to be one of the most impactful players in this league if he stays healthy. Because, last year, he already was on that level. He carried a below-average NFL roster, in my opinion, to a conference championship game. And, this team was top 5 in rushing EPA, but in terms of running back rushing EPA, they were in the bottom half of the league. So he was carrying the run game last year. Of course, he's an awesome passer of the football as well. He does everything for this Commanders offense. So if he's able to do that again and make it go even better this season and take another step forward, I think you look at Jayden Daniels as probably the most valuable offensive or just player in the National Football League this year. So I hope he's able to do it. I'm going to be projecting him to do it, so hopefully he can prove me right. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. Will Jayden Daniels win NFL MVP this year? I think so. I think there's a lot of great candidates. Even though I think he has the highest chance, I think that there's a lot of other great players that could win it out there. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Will Jayden Daniels win NFL MVP? That'll be it for today's and this week's Commanders Report mailbag. Thank you to everybody that submitted questions. If you want to get a question on a future edition of the Commanders Report mailbag, we go live every Wednesday to get you guys ready for that week's Commanders game. And then we do our mailbag at the end of the live show. So if you guys want to get a question on the show, you guys can stop by. 5 p.m. Eastern time is when our live shows start on Wednesday. We really greatly appreciate your guys' support. And until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.